Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining our SMART session today. It is great to see everyone in the attendees list. My name is Aaron. I'll be facilitating today's session, and we will start off by pointing out the bit.ly link that you see on your screen. You are welcome to copy that link. It is also in the chat for those of you who are in attendance. Katie posted it there for us. So that's going to allow you to access today's slide deck and all of the resources that are within it. And before we begin, just want to introduce our customer experience team here at GradeCam. You've more than likely had some interaction with one or all of us online via email or calling us on the phone. So we have Kat from our customer support team. You've probably most likely chatted with her if you've written into us or given us a call. And she's probably who will be responding to you if you write into us or call us after today's webinar. There's also Katie and I. Katie's on the call on the webinar with us as well. She'll be manning the chat. She and I are both former teachers. We're also your customer success coaches to kind of get you going and running with your customer journey here at GradeCam. So feel free throughout today's session. If you have any questions, you can post them in the chat and we will get to them. All right, so some of what we will be discussing today. First, we'll be going over the whole point of today's session is all about going beyond multiple choice. And so we'll be talking about how you can use some of the different question types in Gradient when supporting your teachers and testing your students. We'll have some quick tips that can get you started really easily. And then we'll be talking about next steps. And so let's jump right into the different question types that we have in Gradient. So first off, the default question type in Gradient when you're creating an answer key is multiple choice. Multiple choice questions can be super useful in certain situations, but we also all know that they should probably not be the only method of assessment that we're using in the classroom. We have resources here today that you can provide to your teachers to help support them in developing assessments and using different question types. So we know that changing up the way that we're asking questions can provide us with a more accurate assessment of student understanding and also promote some higher order thinking skills. So we're hoping to help you with that today. And I think one of the reasons folks might default to the multiple choice is it's the default question in Gradient, but it also anything beyond multiple choice might be a little intimidating, especially if you're afraid that it will take up more of your time. And we know as teachers, time is a very, very, very precious resource. Fortunately, multiple or different question types are not going to take up more time with you in Gradient. That is one of the great things about it. And so these resources that we have on this slide are all designed to help you support your teachers in going beyond the multiple choice bubble. This first link that we have here is a link to our Help Center article on all of our different question types that we have in Gradient. I'm going to go ahead and click on this right now. It'll take you into our support center. We have a video that goes over how you can format our question types. And then at the bottom down here, there's a link to all of the different question types that are available. So Gradient has 7 different question types total. 5 of those are automatically graded. So you can set an answer key. Just like you can with a multiple choice question, you can set an answer key for these other question types, and that's going to automatically grade the responses when you scan them in from students. That would be the multiple choice, true, false, number grid, numeric, and fill in the blank. Those are all auto graded. And then we also have rubric and points and open response capture questions. These allow you to give students a score without it being auto-graded, but it does still allow you to scan in the student work and collect the work from students. So you're able to create a resource where you have all of the work in one place, and you can quickly and easily grade student work all from one place. So 7 different question types in all. I encourage you to take a look at this resource to learn about any that you may be unfamiliar with or curious about. Going back to the slide presentation, we also have a link to our quick guides. These are printable PDFs. They're designed to be printed. And so these are a great resource that you can print off and give to your teachers to support them in learning about some of these new question types. You can see here as I'm scrolling through, all of these, they're one-pagers. They go over a different question type on each page. And we just give some tips on how you can use them, some of the ways that you might want to use them, instructions for how you can format them, as well as some examples or inspiration from real teachers and how they've used those different question types to provide your teachers with some ideas for how they might use them in their classroom. And so these PDFs could be a great handout if you're having a meeting with your teachers, you don't have time for a full PD session. Giving them a one-pager handout can be a great way to start in supporting them. And going back to our slide deck, we also have a link here to one of our Gradient 101 sessions. This is our Gradient 101 is our teacher-focused webinar series. And this could be a great way to offer some self-paced PD for teachers. This webinar is led by one of our teammates and explores different question types and ideas for assessing students using multiple question types. So that is a webinar resource available to you as well. And moving on to some quick tips. So those resources on the previous slide will help you give teachers support, but these tips are also just good to know based on some of the questions that we get commonly in our support channel, and also just ways you can save some time. And so the first thing I want to talk about is a lot of times with the default being multiple choice, people aren't aware that you can actually change the question type for an entire test en masse. So all changing multiple questions or all at once. So what you see in the animation here on the screen, I selected multiple question types at one time in my keys tab. And then when I click on the edit option, I can select one of our 7 different question types and automatically change for all of those questions. You can do this for part of an assignment. You can do this for the entire assignment, select all questions and change all question types to a different question type. So that is a feature that bulk change is available by just selecting multiple questions and clicking that edit button. A lot of people aren't aware. Of course, you can always change individual questions as you're editing them one by one, but it's nice to also kind of get that done before you start editing things and attaching standards and whatnot. You can get all of the question types the way you want them. Another option is actually a new feature that we want to highlight. This is recently launched in Gradient. What you'll see here on the screen, this is the new launch of our rich text options in our fill in the blank, open response capture, and in our feedback. So now when you assign a fill in the blank question for students and they're taking it in this online student portal, they'll see these rich text options at the top. So this allows them to use exponents or subscripts. They can bold, italicize, underline, strike through. And this is kind of just the beginning. We're still gathering feedback to see how we can improve this and what other features folks want. But this gives students a more robust platform to be able to give their responses. And this feature is also available when you're giving feedback to students. So as teachers are collecting responses, if they want to leave feedback for students in the online portal, they can use these rich text options as well. And then another question that we commonly get is how you can add additional instructions for students or provide like a breaking up of the form. Because typically when you just print the form, all of the questions are connected together. But in every question, not every question type, in most of our question types, there is this option you'll see called question header. And in that section, you can use this section to write specific instructions for the question you're editing. You can also, with the first question of a section, use this header to announce that section and break up that answer form for students. So maybe the next 5 questions are all about reading comprehension. You can put in the question header and say reading comprehension, or section 1, section 2. So using that question header in a creative way can allow you to get some extra instructions in there or break up a quiz for students. And then the final question that we often get is how you can get creative with points. A lot of times folks want to ask questions or they want to collect student writing, but they don't necessarily want to score it or have it affect the score of the assignment. And so you can always adjust how many points a question is worth, what kind of rubric you're using. And we also have the extra credit option here in the upper right, just underneath that X when you're editing a question. Any question can be made extra credit. So if you want, you can give students those points if they get it right. If they get it wrong, it's not going to affect their score at all. So those are some quick tips when it comes to scoring questions, particularly questions that are not multiple choice. And then at the bottom here on this quick tips page is our more quick tips link. This is going to take you to a portion of our help center that provides, we call it Tip Tuesday. A lot of really quick, useful, real world tips you can use to make the most of Gradient. So I encourage you, these are real brief, great ideas from real teachers that are using Gradient that you can get some inspiration from. So that is linked in our slide deck as well on that quick tips page. And that takes us to our next steps. That's pretty much all of the bulk of the content that we have for today. But we do have upcoming webinars as well. We are restarting our Teach It Forward series, which highlights teachers from around the Gradient world that are using us in their classrooms. We'll have our first new Teach It Forward webinar coming up on February 23rd. So we encourage folks to register for that. We also have linked here a link to our monthly newsletters. This month's newsletter is actually all about doing more with multiple choice. So if you view that newsletter, you can sign up to receive the newsletter directly in your email inbox. And it's broken up into different sections. We have one that's kind of directed at teachers, providing them with lots of suggestions and resources. We also have a section for leaders on how you can support teachers with going beyond multiple choice, encourage them to try new things or provide them inspiration from some of their colleagues and how you can use different question types in your professional development. We also have our Teach It Forward webinar registration, the product highlights, including that rich text editing, quick tips, and more events that are upcoming. So I encourage you to take a look at our February newsletter, all about doing more than multiple choice. And last but not least, we also have more smart sessions coming up. So next month's smart session is how you can get more creative with assignment options. So we'll be going a little bit deeper beyond what we talked about today. And then coming up in April, we've got data and reports. So just in time for that end of the year testing that you can learn how to use Gradient for all of the fantastic data and reports that are available. Those are up on our website and ready to be registered for. And that is all that I have for you today. So thank you all so much for joining us. I'll take a little bit of time. I'll stay on. I'm not sure if we have any questions in the chat, Katie.
The questions were just me posting links and seeing how folks were doing. So it looked like we're good to go, but I know we have some folks staying on. So, oh, and Amy has a question. So she's going to post.
Stop recording and then we will get to those questions. All right.